Hello guys, welcome here to yet another edition of Out of Turn 4. Coming up on the show, we're going to discuss NASCAR at Michigan. We're also going to talk IndyCar at Nashville. And boy, do we have a big week in racing news. But of course, we are going to kick things off with NASCAR at Michigan. Ty Gibbs, of course, kicks off the weekend with an Xfinity Series win at Michigan. It is his 9th career win. Congratulations to him. Unfortunately, I didn't get to see much of the race, so I can't really comment too much on it, but it looks like he won it pretty fair, and of course, did it on pit strategy, as Noah Gragson stayed out to win the stage, I guess, and ultimately lost the race. But Noah Gragson no doubt had the fastest car all day, and unfortunately, due to strategy, it just didn't play in his favor. And Ty Gibbs gets his fifth win of the season, his 9th career NASCAR Xfinity Series victory. So, man, it's looking good for Ty Gibbs if he's going to move up the ladder. And of course, I'll go more into detail in a moment on that. On the Cup side, Kevin Harvick, he ends his winless streak winning at Michigan. It is his 59th career victory. He is now also the 15th different winner this season in the NASCAR Cup Series. And of course, keep in mind, we've got 3 races to go in the regular season. Of course, we got Richmond this weekend, we got Watkins Glen, and we got Daytona. Essentially, this is the last, calm before the storm race in terms of, scheduling, because we know Watkins Glen can be a massive wild card. We also know Daytona is complete uncertainty. We don't know what to expect going into the final 2 races of the season after Richmond. So I'm going to go out there and say we're going to have 16, maybe 17 different winners by the time we get to Daytona. I think 16 is the biggest possibility. So again, we'll see what happens. And again, I'll make my pick shortly. But boy, it's looking like for the first time ever, that is going to be a real possibility. Moving on to IndyCar. IndyCar at Nashville. Scott Dixon takes home the victory in the Nashville Grand Prix. It is his 52nd IndyCar win. He is now second on the all-time wins list, 15 wins behind A.J. Foyt. And of course, Dixon, as you know, just turned 42 in July. So now that raises the question, can Scott Dixon catch A.J. Foyt? Man, if he had that 52nd career win 3 years ago, I would say absolutely. But Dixon at 42 is still racing lights out. And I don't think he's showing any signs of slowing down in the coming years. So I don't want to rule it out. I think that's the thing I'm going to say. But at the same time, I mean, we've had 8 different winners in the IndyCar series this year as well. So that said, it looks like that gap is getting closer and closer in terms of, the competition gap. So I wouldn't necessarily, I wouldn't rule it out, but I also would say that it's quite a long shot that he's going to catch A.J. Foyt. So, again, I don't want to rule it out, and I don't want to come out and just say yes. So I guess that's where I stand on that. Of course, this race delayed by lightning, as was the Cup Series at Michigan, and it looked like a real possibility that NASCAR was not going to go racing on Sunday and was going to race on Monday. It also looked like the IndyCar at Nashville was going to be competing with darkness. And again, wouldn't happen if you raced at noon on a Sunday. Just saying, if IndyCar raced at like 1 p.m. and NASCAR raced at like 12:30 or something, we wouldn't have this issue. Now, I get one of them was going to have to race later because of the golf tournament on NBC, but nonetheless, something's got to give. Something's got to give here. So, with that, I'm not going to comment. My comments are on Twitter about how I felt about the IndyCar race coverage. So, I will just let you go over there and view it because I want to focus a lot of my attention now in these last 15 to 25 minutes on the racing news. Of course, the biggest news this week, Daniel Ricciardo is out at McLaren, which led to a lot of speculation about his future in auto racing. Daniel Ricciardo has in the past doubled down. I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. He has said in the past that he is not interested in going into the States to run NASCAR or IndyCar, as he is not a fan of driving on ovals. Well, this weekend he doubled down, saying that he is not interested in running IndyCar as a potential future career move. And it's a shame. I wish he would be more open to it. I mean, even running the road courses, Ed Carpenter Racing, they expanded to 3 cars on the ovals this year. Maybe there's a possibility if he, you're saying Daniel Ricciardo, he's running an F1, he's got money. I would have loved to see a chance for him to run in the IndyCar series on a full-time, or not a full-time, but at least a part-time basis on the street courses and the road courses. And, maybe that would change his mind. But it sounds like he's not interested in that. Of course, he's had interest in stock cars before. So that's another thing. Maybe Project 91 is in his future. But it sounds like F1 is where F1 is where McLaren hopes to keep him for next season. And with that, of course, keep in mind, Oscar Piastri will be the new driver of the McLaren F1 car. So that leaves a few spots open, not really many, of course. I imagine, again, AlphaTauri's going to have a spot open, it looks like. Alfa Romeo has a spot open. Haas Ferrari has a spot open. Of course, we don't know what's going on at Ferrari. There's a chance that Mick Schumacher gets called up. But I believe, honestly, maybe he'll run at Alfa Romeo next year. I wouldn't be shocked to see that, or even Williams next year with Albon. So I think those are more real possibilities. Again, maybe it's one of those years where he walks around, tries to find somewhere to race. Project 91 at COTA would be a great idea, in my opinion. Because if he drives the Project 91 car, again, he meets Project 91's goals for a team. So that's where I think, he should really I think he should have an open mind in this. Again, I know he doesn't like ovals. Project 91 could put him on a road course. I believe Dale Coyne Racing is looking into expanding in IndyCar. He could have a really good year on the road courses in IndyCar. And of course, again, he has experience. I feel like maybe he can get a win. But, ultimately, I think there's an F1 ride available for him somewhere. So again, this story's going to bear a lot of watching in the coming weeks. So we'll keep an eye on it, of course, in terms of F1 and IndyCar. And again, you guys know my thoughts on F1. I hope to hear yours about Daniel Ricciardo and his racing future. One person, of course, if you recall watching SRX, you know that Marco Andretti has had an interest in running the NASCAR Xfinity Series for the last few years. Well, the interest is now real. Marco Andretti has signed a deal. He will be making his NASCAR Xfinity Series debut on the Charlotte Roval with Big Machine Racing. Of course, that means he will be driving the number 48 Big Machine Spiked Coolers Chevrolet. I'm excited. I think this is going to be a good opportunity for him. Of course, we know this team is now capable of winning races, so I wouldn't say they're a top-tier ride, but they are definitely a car that he could score top 15 in. And, of course, on a track that he's never raced, it'll be fun to watch. I think it'll be really fun to watch what he's able to do on the Roval. Excuse me. Man, long day. So, again, I think it'll be interesting to see what he does on the Roval, and it will bear a lot of watching. Maybe it'll lead to more events. I thought maybe Sam Hunt Racing would be the team that he would drive for, but glad to see Big Machine Racing has locked him up for the race. I know many of you out there that are NASCAR fans might be listening to Door Bumper Clear, the Dale Jr. Download. I believe those are the two biggest podcasts in terms of NASCAR. So that said, of course, Door Bumper Clear had their episode on Monday, I believe, and they were talking again, as everybody in the garage has been talking about, what's going to happen with Kyle Busch in 2023. Well, it appears that the latest discussion in terms of Kyle Busch's future is that he is now in discussions with a Chevy team. And, of course, a Ford team, which is heavily speculated to be Stewart Haas Racing. But now the latest rumor is there is no more discussions at Joe Gibbs Racing. And so I say it's becoming more and more clear now that Kyle Busch might not be at Joe Gibbs Racing next year. I don't think at this point, again, it's August 9th. I don't see many possible ways that at this point in time that Kyle Busch and Joe Gibbs, I don't see this at this point in the season where this is considered a power move, a leverage move, as opposed to Kyle Busch just saying, let's just get a deal done. Again, it's August 9th. We are 3 months away from the NASCAR Championship at Phoenix. That's why I say I don't see this being a power move as much as it is Kyle Busch trying to get a deal done for 2023. Again, it's podcast speculation. I don't think it should be I think it should be taken seriously because of the hosts of this podcast. But I also think, it shouldn't be taken serious in that it is discussions of rumors. I imagine that the Chevy team is Colleague Racing, based on everything I've read. Colleague Racing is deciding whether they want to run 2 full-time Cup drivers or keep a rotating seat in the number 16. And, of course, we know Trackhouse is locked up for next year. It sounds like Suarez will be back with Trackhouse. And I don't forecast any different. Of course, if you watched our silly season special, Hendrick, I don't see them getting rid of any of their 4 drivers for Kyle Busch. And again, I don't see that reunion coming. So that X's that out. Joe, maybe there's a possibility. Oh, excuse me. Long day. Sorry, guys. But I don't see there being a possibility that happens. Richard Childress Racing could expand to 3 cars. That's a possibility. But again, I think Colleague Racing is slowly becoming one of the favorites. And of course, this would be a power move if it is Colleague Racing. Because again, Colleague Racing has risen to be one of the Xfinity Series top teams. They're in pursuit of becoming a good top-tier Cup program, and I think they're almost there. I mean, again, Justin Haley's had a quietly good year, or a quietly average year, and Kyle Busch could not only take that team to the next level, he could take Justin Haley's racing career to the next level. And again, we know that Kaulig Racing, leaf filter could back him the whole season. I imagine Justin Haley's going to be back. I don't see any change there, but maybe Justin Haley gets more sponsorship outside of leaf filter, and maybe Kaulig backs, maybe Goldfish Casino Slots backs Justin Haley or Kyle Busch's entry in the next season. And again, we know Kaulig has money, he's an entrepreneur, and again, he wants to go trophy hunting. What better way to go trophy hunting than with NASCAR's top 3 series all-time winner? Again, keep in mind, over 200 wins across NASCAR's 3 top series. So that's why I say it's a possibility. Of course, Stewart Haas Racing still a very real possibility as well. The 10, the 41, we don't know what's going on with those cars just yet. I imagine Custer will be back, but he could very well be in the 41 if the opportunity, or if the timing is right. And of course, I'm going to dig in more on Stewart Haas Racing in a moment, but also for Kaulig Racing, this could be big for the Chevy. Another big win for Chevy if they get Kyle Busch, because now they'll be inheriting KBM. It'll be bad for GMS Racing. It'll be good for KBM. It'll be good for Kaulig Racing in terms of their growth in this sport. So that will bear watching. And of course, if he's going to leave, I mean, Stewart Haas, I think, would be the best opportunity, because it will certainly help with Ford's driver development program, which desperately, in my opinion, needs the help, because it's clear David Gilliland Racing is not a top program just yet. Stewart Haas's Xfinity program has been lacking the last few years. So that's something definitely that will bear watching. And again, hopefully in the next month or two, we will get some clarity in terms of Kyle Busch's future outside of these podcast rumors. Tony Stewart is back in the news. He is hinting at a big announcement today. I'm sure that announcement has already been made. But one thing to note, and I'm going to open up my Twitter so that way I get this right. So Tony Stewart has tweeted, this was on Friday, spent a lot of time in the Indy garage looking at race cars. It got me thinking about doing something special for the fans. Tagging IndyCar, or hashtag IndyCar, hashtag NASCAR. Then yesterday, shifting gear, this is another tweet, yesterday, shifting gears after an exciting weekend. Speaking of winning, fans, we've shared a lot of iconic moments over the years, haven't we? Stay tuned for a major announcement tomorrow. That would be today. Okay? And he also posted a picture of what looks like his championship-winning car from 2011 with that tweet. Is there a possibility? Now, here's the interesting thing. Tony Stewart retired from Cup racing just a few years back. Tony Stewart's been running SRX since. He's been running a lot of modifieds, outlaws. He's owned a drag racing team. But we also know he's got connections in the IndyCar paddock, of course. Chip Ganassi Racing. I believe he's got I'm sure Roger Penske as well. And then the biggest one, and this is probably the most noteworthy of all of them, AJ Foyt. Okay, the Coyote. Okay, and keep this in mind. I think this is a big teaser, and I think this is a really big teaser. AJ Foyt's 87 years old. I just want you to keep this in mind. AJ Foyt is 87 years old. Tony Stewart, mind you, before the pandemic, announced he was going to drive the NASCAR Xfinity Series race at the IMS road course. There could be a real possibility that, I'm going to say this. Maybe there's a possibility Tony Stewart is going to jump on as a co-owner of AJ Foyt Racing. If I had to speculate this without seeing the announcement earlier today or at some point today, I think Tony Stewart could potentially become the co-owner of AJ Foyt Enterprises. Maybe it becomes Foyt Stewart. And again, this is not just me talking on Twitter or rumors. I could see this happening because of the relationship between Foyt and Stewart. Maybe there's a possibility. I don't think this is a big one, seeing that Tony Stewart's in his 50s. But maybe there's a possibility he runs the IMS NASCAR double at Charlotte. There's been rumors of drivers wanting to do it, including 7-time champion Jimmy Johnson. So, is there a possibility again? Now, mind this. Stewart-Haas Racing is full. They're going to be full of full-time drivers in 2023. Maybe, just maybe, we could see Tony Stewart run the Indy 500 with AJ Foyt Racing in the number 11 or the number 14. I think the 14 is a real possibility. And again, with how much Tony Stewart has adored and admired AJ Foyt for years, with how much he's adored and admired him for years, I wouldn't put it past him that he's the driver of the 14 at the Indianapolis 500 and that the 14 becomes a rotating seat in IndyCar. This, I think, would also check off a big bucket list thing to drive for AJ Foyt, to drive the iconic number 14 at Indy. And with ABC Supply Company backing him, potentially. But where it gets fishy is on the Cup side, with Stewart-Haas Racing full. Keep in mind, SHR provides equipment to Rick Ware Racing, and as well to BJ McLeod Motorsports, or Live Fast Motorsports, what I mean. So, Rick Ware or Dale Coyne Racing has talked about expanding their IndyCar program to 3 full-time rides. Maybe it is with Rick Ware that they expand and add the 52 back to the paddock. Maybe Tony Stewart drives the 52 with Rick Ware Racing and drives the 15 on Sunday as well. I don't know if the Indy NASCAR double is a real possibility. I don't believe it is necessarily, but I wouldn't put it past him that this is his last go in both series and then takes on the ownership role or a minority or a co-ownership role in the IndyCar paddock. Man, I'm excited for this announcement. That announcement was hinting, I think, a lot more at his future in racing, a return to IndyCar and NASCAR for one last go. Again, I think that tweet sums it up, but I wouldn't be shocked if he throws a curveball and says, guess what, I just invested in AJ Foyt Racing or another IndyCar team, or he's starting up his own. So I think it could be that as well. But boy, Stewart is really adding to what has been an unprecedented silly season. But with that, we've only got 5 minutes left, so I want to get this final story out. The driver of the 42 GMS Petty car is going to be announced this week as well. Heavy speculation that it is going to be Noah Gragson behind the wheel of the 42. But again, with how crazy this silly season is, I don't think that's a guarantee at this point. Could it be Zane Smith as well? Keep in mind, Zane Smith is the Truck Series point leader. He was also supposed to go to Chip Ganassi Racing before they sold their program. So we can't rule out that Zane Smith could be in this discussion. I wouldn't rule out that Daniel Hemrick, maybe Josh Berry are in this discussion as well. So maybe even Austin Hill could drive for the 42 next year. Before moving over as a bridge year going over to the number 8. But all I can say is that the announcement is not Noah Gragson to the number 42. This offseason is going to get even more interesting because then, of course, we know Gragson could end up at Colleague or Stewart Haas for next season, I believe. But I don't think there's any doubt in the world that Noah Gragson is going to be full-time Cup racing in 2023. I think there is going to be the question that it could be Zane Smith that goes racing in 2023. But again, we will see. Let's make our weekend picks. Truck Series at Richmond. I'm going to pick Zane Smith, as I mentioned. I think he'll advance to the round of 8 after this weekend. Then the Cup Series at Richmond. I think this is where we get our 16th different winner. Not at Watkins Glen, not at Daytona. It will be at Richmond, and I think Martin Truex Jr. will become the winner, or the 16th different winner this season with his win at Richmond. Again, a track that Martin Truex is very strong at. Toyota in general is very strong at, so I wouldn't even rule out the possibility that 2311 gets a victory. I wouldn't rule out that Kyle Busch gets a victory because Kyle Busch is so strong at Richmond, and nothing says power move more than winning another race, especially in a season of so much uncertainty that we are seeing at this very moment. So that's the end of our picks. I do want to say again, thank you for watching. Keep in mind there will be no episode next week. I'm on vacation. I've got a family thing going on. I'm going to be out of town Tuesday into Wednesday. I'm going to be out of town the following weekend for the NASCAR Cup Series at Watkins Glen. I will be at the ARCA, Xfinity, and the Cup events at Watkins Glen. So if you do see me down there wearing either a Ross Chastain or a Chase Elliott shirt, feel free to come on over, punch me in the face, I don't know, say hi. Depending on how your thoughts are of me. Again, I don't care either way, but feel free to stop by, say hi. I'll be there. I won't have a booth, but I'll be walking around, at least through the infield, and stay focused on our social media pages at Tinkle Sports, because there will likely be a lot of photos dumped there from the trip to the Glen. But again, no episode Tuesday, August 16th. That's next Tuesday. We will have an episode the following Tuesday, August 23rd. But again, there is a potential that I'll do a quick short video on Thursday with my picks for Watkins Glen. So stay tuned to social media for that. The other big announcement, of course, keep in mind, Sunday morning Tinkle, as you guys know, has been off for over a month now. I can now confirm we will be returning August 28th, 9 a.m. Eastern, again, as we confirmed on the show. So again, we're still 2.5 weeks from that. So be sure to stay tuned to Tinkle Sports and Entertainment. And of course, be sure to tune in tomorrow to No Final Bell, 5 p.m. Eastern, YouTube, Facebook Watch. As far as we go, though, we are done here. We want to thank you for watching, and we will see you in a couple of weeks here on Out of Turn 4. Until then, goodbye, everyone.